All right, Glenn calls the meeting to order. First item is roll call.
Alderman Arnold.
Here.
Alderman Bass.
Here.
Alderman Cleaver.
Here.
Alderman Knox.
Here.
Alderman Mills. Alderman Skinner.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Okay. Next item, the invocation led by Pastor Jason Williams of Valley Community Church, followed by a pledge of allegiance for Alderman Arnold.
Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be together here tonight. God, I pray your blessing over everything that goes on. God, I pray over our leaders. God, thank you for those that are willing, God, to lead our community, lead well. God, we just pray your wisdom, your blessing over them, over their families tonight, God. We know that so many times it can be challenging to lead in this day and time. Families many times catch the brunt of the challenges that we face. But God, I thank you, Lord, for your covering and your blessing over the families as well. God, bless everything that goes on tonight. God, give wisdom to those that lead us and help us to continue to honor you in all that we do and say. God, we give you praise for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next up is the approval of the agenda.
Yes, Mayor, we do have one requested change. Count with reference to ordinance or Bill B 23-06. We were contacted by Mr. Moore, who's representing the applicants, and he has asked that it be pulled and moved or delayed until the March 13th meeting. The point of that would be to conduct a informational meeting with residents to explain the CID, why they're taking that approach, and kind of basically, I guess, give more information to them before it goes further and is considered for a second read by the board.
Is that the only?
That's the only change, yes.
Okay. Entertain a motion to amend the agenda to remove Bill B 23 or Bill 2306.
So moved.
Motion from Alderman Knox. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Cleaver. Any discussion on the motion to amend the agenda?
I don't understand why we need to back this off now. This thing's been in the work for 2 years, and another 15 days is gonna make a difference.
Mr. Moore is here with them. My understanding is that it was strictly due. One of the things that was brought up to that last meeting was the difference between owner occupied units and rental, basically. And maybe the actual residents, the rental homes might not have been contacted and might not understand what this means for them.
That's a failure on their part in the previous 2 years of getting us to this point. I don't think we should be pushing it back.
We've had 3 weeks since the last meeting.
Right.
Any additional discussion?
Well, what's it hurting if we push it back, I guess? What's it, if we push it back until the next meeting or March 13th? I mean, what's it, well, I guess what's the point? We have to push it through today, or it has to go? If they're requesting it, I guess I don't understand.
Well, from the first meeting, we were told that they had talked to everybody that lived there and they had a list of everybody and everybody was aware of what was going on. And I'm not sure what's changed since the first meeting to today.
Well, and just to ask one point of clarification, you said meeting with the public? Is that general public, the entire city, or just the residents of those units?
Yeah, I mean, I would let Mr. Moore, this is a request from them. This wasn't it's not a staff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Good evening, again, Bill Moore, attorney with the White House law firm, representing the applicant in the Riverside Village CID. So at the last meeting I was here, I heard there was a lot of discussion about tenants. I contacted my clients, who are the owners of the property. And then as the time passed from that last meeting to now, I'm maybe there should be a public meeting and have a discussion with the tenants about this. I am perfectly pleased, happy to do that. It's, I think you all know this, several of the owners are not in town, they're out-of-state owners. They've authorized me to go ahead and conduct a meeting. I think that would be a good thing to do, to let the tenants know what's going on in the subdivision. Those improvements are necessary. There's no question about that. I think that was kind of the behest of the city that we undertake this. And so we're happy to do that. And I think if you could just give us a few extra weeks, we'll set the meeting up with the residents, let them know what's going on, and we'll come back and you all will make the decision.
Any additional questions for him? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, back to the motion of the approval of the agenda with the change. Any additional discussion?
I've been over there and discussed this with a number of the residents and so forth, and maybe that's what brought some of this up about a need for public information. And the ones that are owner occupied were very surprised that this was going on and how it could affect them. So it didn't change, change my stance on the
Yeah, so I mean, I guess if you go back in there in a couple weeks and have this discussion with the tenants, and the tenants are like, we're totally against this, do you pull this? I mean, how's that change how you go forward?
So, again, this is a decision that you all get to make on the formation of the CIP. The HOA board, which is made up of owners of the property and the CIP, they're requesting that this be established. And as I think I mentioned at the last public hearing, one of the primary reasons to do the CIP as opposed to going through the HOA is the ability to want to borrow the money, spread the term out so that we all know that ultimately it's going to be tenants that are paying for, pass through the tenants because again, the rental property, whether it's commercial or residential, it's the tenants that end up paying for it. So the idea is the CID will be less of a burden on those tenants that are going to be making rental payments. So again, we'll have the meeting. Hopefully the tenants will be, at least they'll be informed, they'll be advised. I don't know that anybody, wants to have their rent go up. I don't know that anybody wants to have their taxes go up. But when you have a problem with the infrastructure, there's only one way to resolve it, and that one way is to raise some money and do the improvements. Somebody ultimately will pay for it. So in answer to your question, I think we'll have the meeting, we'll come back. I will let you all know when this meeting is taking place. If you'd like to attend, I think that'd be fine. And then we'll come back and present it to you all. You all will ultimately make that decision whether or not to allow this to be formed or not formed.
Any additional questions or discussion?
I do have one unrelated to this, I'm sorry. Well, semi-related, but do you know exactly how many units are involved in the HOA?
There are 63, I believe.
63, okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see why having this discussion with the tenants, why that wasn't done beforehand. I don't see how moving this out 2 weeks changes anything. I mean, if you were to say, if we have this discussion with the tenants and they all hate this idea, then we'll pull it. Okay, well, that's one thing, but it doesn't sound like it's going to change anything because the few people who own residences in this neighborhood want it. And so, I mean, I don't think it's going to get pulled. I think we should go forward with the vote tonight on this personally.
Anything else? All right then, all in favor to amend the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, it sounded like it was 3-2 in favor, but it might be a good idea in this circumstance to just poll the aldermen to verify that their votes were. Not a roll call vote, but it's just polling them to ask what their votes were.
All that were aye, can you raise your hand? Okay, that's what I have. So Skinner and Arnold were nay.
Right, and that's good for 3-2 on that?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so the agenda is amended, that is removed. Seeing no proclamations, move on to public comments. We ask the citizens come forward to the podium and microphone. Make sure you sign in with your name and address for the record. Anyone who wishes to address the board this evening?
My name is Jan Brill. I live at 1035 Ephraim. I was thrilled to see that the city has hired a chief, and I hope that that will mean that our officer corps will increase by at least 3 in the near future. I have continued my research into other cities and what they're offering for police officers. And what I found is that our salary is not competitive. We have officers that can't afford to live in the city they protect. I think that's horrible. And also, I think some cities are offering to cover families of officers in their insurance. I think that would be a really good negotiating tool for the city to have, and I'd request that you consider that. The second thing I would like to suggest, and I want to preface this by saying that this city is really good to their older citizens. But this was the month my dogs became legal. And so I took them to get the rabies shot. And then I came in and registered them, made them legal. I think that the city might consider holding a vaccination clinic. I think that would be much more convenient for people who have their dogs. I say this as an older person, our pets are much more important to us when we get older, where there would be a day, I'm not saying it should be free, but maybe it would be a little less expensive. And then you wouldn't have to deal with vet clinics and their appointments and taking your dog into a vet area where, like, they put me right in the room because there was a pit bull coming in they knew didn't get along with other dogs. Made me really uncomfortable. But I'd just like you to consider maybe doing something like that. Also, coming back into the city hall, especially if the weather might be bad, can be difficult for older people. So I just wanted to offer that suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Have anyone else who wishes to address the board? Seeing none, move on to the consent agenda.
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Yeah, motion from Alderman Skinner to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Arnold. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. Seeing no previous business, new business, or presentations, move on to public hearings. We have a request for the renewal of a conditional use permit by Dennis Shrout to operate a racetrack facility at 348 East Old US 40 Highway.
Mayor and members of the board, as you know, the Speedway operates under a conditional use permit. That's the only way by code that it is allowed. And it is on a 4-year term. The permit length is 4 years. So we are at that point. The last time it was updated or was approved was March 25th, 2019. We did spend quite a bit of time, actually prior to that, I think back in 2015, probably setting up parameters as far as what those conditions would be for the permit after multiple public meetings with residents and other business owners. So we put that list of conditions together. And basically that did not change in 2019. And what's coming before you are the same conditions that the racetrack has been operating under since then. So this would just be an extension of that permit for another 4 years with no new conditions. We've done the testing, sound testing twice a year, like is required. And that has come back that it's meeting the parameters of the permit. Our calls have definitely decreased on complaints. It's not unusual to get one or two maybe at the start of every year, but that's minor, and a lot of that's just kind of not knowing necessarily that the racetrack's even there. So staff's recommendation is that we do approve it for another term.
Questions or comments?
Yep, sorry, one.
Go ahead.
Just, can you remind me, what's race season?
Pull this. And Mr. Shrout is here. He can.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And so it does, in those conditions, it lists the number of events they can have as far as races, sound, time they could operate, and all of that, which is all included in the ordinance.
He's, Mr. Strout's been a good citizen and a good neighbor since we worked things out on the sound level issue down there with the deal. And I think a 4-year sunset on this is maybe a little short. Somewhere we need to decide to just remove that sunset because it's hard for a businessman to make any long-range plans that every 4 years he's going to have a possibility of losing the right to do what he's doing on his own property. So I think he's been doing well. He's gone through 2 of these adjustments and extension. I think some consideration needs to be given to remove that so he can make long-range plans and not worry about his investment being affected by this particular ordinance.
Joe, is that something that Alderman Arnold could make a motion for when we get to the actual ordinance, would be to adjust that part?
I believe that this went through P and Z to get to the Board of Aldermen to begin with. Is that correct?
The way the original one was set up was that it just comes back through the board as the renewal.
Okay, I just wanted to double check that.
Yep.
It is something that the board considers is to extend it for longer periods of time. I would just say, just based on my experience, it's not recommended that you would do it necessarily into perpetuity, that you would have an opportunity to look back. But I think that Alderman Arnold makes a good point that it would be something worth consideration by the board as whether, that 4 years is too short or long enough or going forward.
Your questions or comments during the public hearing? Okay. As this is a public hearing, we'll open it up for anyone who wishes to speak for or against the conditional use permit. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak this evening? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. That's it for public hearings. Next up are resolutions. First one is Resolution R23-14, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to purchase a PJ Trailers Low Pro with duals trailer for use by Public Works Department.
Mayor, move that we approve R23-14.
I have a motion from Alderman Arnold to approve Resolution R23-14. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Cleaver. Any discussion?
And Mayor, members of the board, this trailer is the heaviest duty out of the trailers that we have for public works. So this can not only haul the heavier equipment that we have, but it could also haul multiple of the smaller. So basically what we're requesting that was included in the budget is the same trailer that we had as far as heavy duty wise, but it is 2 feet longer just to be able to accommodate some more attachments. That's been kind of the limiting factor in what we had. So other than that, this is just a replacement off of the vehicle and equipment replacement program that we looked at with the budget.
Any questions, comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next up is Resolution R23-15, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to purchase a PJ Trailers with 8-inch deck over trailer for use by Parks and Recreation Maintenance staff for transportation of grounds maintenance equipment.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R 23-15.
I have a motion from Alderman Bass to approve resolution R 23-15. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Skinner. Any discussion?
Somewhat similar to the last one, this was another item that came up in budget, and this is a replacement on the Parks and Rec side. A little bit different with this one. This is considered a low-profile trailer. The previous one that we had, one of the issues was actually getting some of the equipment on with the way the wheel wells were. So this allows us to actually be able to basically utilize more of the trailer and get our different pieces of equipment that have changed since we purchased that trailer. But if you had any specific questions, Mr. Davies would be happy to answer that.
Questions or comments?
Where are we buying these from? What dealer?
Yeah, it's both these. So it's nationwide trailers for both of these. So we did look at the competitively bid national contracts, but actually nationwide trailers in Oak Grove came in under those competitively bid prices. So that is who we were going with for both of those.
Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next up, resolution R 23-16, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to purchase 4 sets of aluminum bleachers for the Armstrong Park baseball softball field complex.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution number R 23-16.
Yeah, motion from Alderman Cleaver to approve resolution R 23-16. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Bass. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, when we went through some budget items, getting ready for 2023, one of the things that we brought up was needs in our parks facilities. And one of them was the bleachers in Armstrong Park. If you had gone there to watch kids play, they were kind of older, beaten down wooden bleachers without railings that were definitely past their useful life. So this resolution would allow Mr. Davies to purchase 4 sets of aluminum bleachers that would be placed on pads for those fields at Armstrong Park.
Any questions, comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next up is resolution R 23-17, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to purchase and replace 6 metal exterior doors, factory hardware at the Grand Valley Aquatic Center.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution R 23-17.
I have a motion from Alderman Knox to approve resolution R 23-17. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Skinner. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, at our aquatic facility, one of the things that we have tried to push off as long as possible was some of the items like these doors, and it's to the point now that they need to be replaced. They're rusted to the point it's hard to open and close, and kind of turns into a safety issue. So this resolution would replace 6 of those doors around the aquatic facility.
Is this door and jam or just a door?
In some cases, it's just the door. In some cases, it's just the jam. In some cases, it's just handle and locking mechanism.
Okay. 'Cause I was wondering about these doors and maybe what new ones you get. Somehow epoxy coating the bottom quarter to keep the rust from coming up from all the water that they get into all the time.
Yeah, and these really come highly recommended for aquatic facilities. Like I said, the doors we have there, we've had since '02. And again, it's just 6 of them. 4 of which are on our pump room. And part of that is not only the moisture, but it's also the chemicals that are stored in there just over time between alkypo and muriatic acid and some of the other stuff. It just takes a toll. Our maintenance guys have tried to repair and replace, but it's getting where now even in some cases the door jams aren't straight anymore, getting doors open and closed.
Right, okay.
Okay. Any additional questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. Next up is Resolution R 23-18, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing the city administrator to purchase service weapons for police staff from Keesler Police Supply.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution R 23-18.
I got a motion from Alderman Knox to approve Resolution R 23-18. Do I have a second?
Second.
Who do we give it to?
Cleaver.
All right. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, if you remember some of our discussions at the budget workshop, one of the things that we were using some of the recovery dollars for was to be able to purchase lump sum replacement of firearms for our officers. One of the problems if we didn't do that is obviously we'd have the old style gun and the new style gun, which would require two different types of ammunition. So this allows us to go through and upgrade at one time. So it'd be going from, it'd still be Glock, but from 22s to 45. And there would be a trade-in involved with our current weapons.
Is it 22 to 17? Are you going to the 9 millimeter?
From the 22 to the Model 45, that's the 9 millimeter. It's the size of the 17, the slide is the size of
Interesting.
one of their newer versions.
Yeah.
Also, part of this package deal that they have right now, it comes with the red dot aiming system on it.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So that will be an upgrade over what we've got.
Very cool.
Additional discussion, questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right. Next up, we have Resolution R 23-19, a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Grand Valley authorizing an agreement to purchase tasers of Exxon Enterprise Incorporated.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve resolution R 23-19.
We have a motion from Alderman Skinner to approve Resolution R 23-19. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Arnold. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this would be an agreement with the current company that we deal with on tasers. So it'd be on a 5-year replacement schedule, but we were at the end of the old term, so this will enter us into a new one and upgrade the tasers.
Any questions or discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That's it for resolutions. Next up are ordinances.
This is the second reading of Bill number B23-03. This is an ordinance annexing real property that is contiguous and compact to the existing city limits of Green Valley, Missouri, Bill and Teresa Smith and the Road Church.
I don't have an ordinance. What was the ordinance number?
2409.
Mayor, I make a motion to accept Bill 23-03 and make it ordinance 2409.
I have a motion by Arnold to approve resolution B23-03 for its second reading, making an ordinance 2409. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Knox. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, this will be roll call.
Alderman Arnold,
Yes.
Alderman Bass,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Skinner.
Yes.
Okay, the next is Bill number B23-04, also a second read. This is an ordinance approving the final development plan for Copper Creek and the final plat for the lofts at Creekside Landing.
Mayor, I move that we accept the second reading of bill number B23-04 and approve it as ordinance number 2410.
I have a motion from Alderman Bass to approve Bill B23-04 for its second reading, making ordinance 2410. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Skinner. Any discussion? Seeing none, speak roll call.
Alderman Skinner,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Bass,
Yes.
Alderman Arnold.
No.
Okay, the next one is Bill number B23-05, and this is also a second reading. This is an ordinance amending section 340.190 to update the designation of emergency routes within the city.
I move that we accept the second reading of bill number B 23-05 and approve it as ordinance number 2411.
I have a motion from Alderman Cleaver to approve Bill B 23-05 for its second reading, making ordinance 2411. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, seeing none, this will be roll call.
Alderman Arnold,
Yes.
Alderman Bass,
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver,
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Skinner.
Yes.
The next is the first reading for Bill number B 23-07. This is an ordinance approving the renewal of a conditional use permit to operate a racetrack facility at 348 East Old US 40 Highway.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve bill number B 23-07 for its first read and bring it back by title only at our next scheduled meeting.
Okay, I have a motion from Alderman Knox to approve Bill B 23-07 for its first reading, bring it back by title only for its second reading. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Arnold. Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, this is the ordinance that coincides with the public hearing. The only thing that I would add after hearing Alderman Arnold's comment, if you're looking at extending that time, similar to what Mr. Lauber had said, in the conditional use section of the code, it just does say that a conditional use permit shall be valid for a limited period of time. So whatever that, it didn't say what that number is, but it does say that it should be for a period of time versus in perpetuity.
Well, I would this time make a motion to extend it to 10 years.
All right, I have a motion from Alderman Arnold to, is that 3 currently or 4?
4 currently.
4. Okay, increasing it 4 to 10 years on the renewal. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Knox. Any discussion on the motion to amend?
It just makes it a lot easier for the owner and management there to make longer range plans. It probably would even make it easier for getting loans on any expansions he wants to do on the property. So that any lending agency wouldn't balk at the fact that he could lose his rights to do his business within 4 years, at least 10 years, makes it a little easier to work out some financing.
I would agree with that. I got some issues that I need to do now, but I haven't done them for the last 4 years. I can't recoup my investment. So it would help me with some of my long-range plans right now, extending.
And I will say, I have not had a conversation with Mr. Stroud about this. It's just probably as much a surprise to him that I brought this up, so I haven't spoke with him about it, so.
Does the city have any feedback on this and any input on this?
I mean, to be honest, I don't. Mr. Trout would have worked with Mr. Trozen, and to my knowledge, it wasn't brought. The extension wasn't brought up, so we didn't have any discussion on it. As I said earlier, after we went through the somewhat rough times of getting everything established the first go around, this will be the third, I think, renewal or third cycle on this set of conditions, and to this point we haven't had any issues with that. Like I said, from the staff point of view, we continue to do the sound monitoring 2 times a year, and other than that, it's just making sure that he's following the conditions outlined in the permit. So
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if for some reason conditions aren't being followed, it's still.
yeah, I mean, it'd be the same process for that. Yeah.
So it doesn't, you could go 10 years on, it wouldn't matter, Okay, any additional discussion on the amendments? Okay, this vote will be on the amendment to extend it to 10 years then. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, now we're back to the Bill B 23-07 with it being changed to the 10 years. Any discussion on the actual ordinance itself? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That's it for ordinances. Next up, city attorney's reports.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, just a couple things. I don't know if Rich had mentioned the last time when he was here covering for me, but we have added a new associate attorney at our office. She started in mid-January, came from the public defender's office down in Nevada, Missouri, and covered like a 4-county area there. So she'll come in. She may actually be doing some prosecution dockets here as time goes on. So you may see Madison Touchstone is her name. We also added a paralegal at our office, which helps to support some of the attorneys, and we can we bill for paralegals, but we can do it at a much lower rate than the attorneys. So that helps to provide some relief to the billing costs and so forth. The last item I'd like to mention for you is it is getting to be that time of the year again, and we're teeing up to do our city official training conference that we put on, our training seminars that we do every year. We do have one scheduled, the first one scheduled, and it's the one I think that you guys typically would go to. That will be on April 21st. These are always on a Friday. They start kind of at 8:30 in the morning. We serve a breakfast. We start training. We do the training from 9 to 2. We also provide a lunch. I believe for NPR members, it is free of charge because it's hosted at NPR's facility. So again, that is April the 21st. And again, if you've gone to it before, I do highly recommend go again, because as you get more experience as elected officials, and this is open to staff members as well, to come to this, it's a great refresher, but you will hear things differently because you've gotten that much more experience under your belt. So those are my items for tonight.
Next up, city administrator staff reports.
Mr. Davies.
Mayor and board, as you all are aware, we're updating our comprehensive plan and drafting the Parks Master Plan, in the process of that. We do have a public workshop for the community 2 weeks from tomorrow, so it's Tuesday, February 28th, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at Snybar Elementary. We encourage you all to come to that. This is an opportunity for the community and the residents to come out and get involved and provide feedback and engage in discussions on the future of our town and our community. One thing to note, we have put out some signs. You might see some of these around the town. They're at all of our schools. Right now, we've got several in our community center, city hall, post office. Again, we're trying to get the word out about this, and we're doing quite a bit through social media, but not everybody engages in social media. So we try to put signs out like this out as well too. There's a QR code here at the bottom that you can click on, and it basically takes you to an interactive engagement website that talks about the purpose of what we're doing. It also talks about how you can get engaged and involved. There's a survey you can take, you can list priorities, you can have ideas. So if you all get a chance at the end of the meeting, as you're heading out, if you want to, you can scan this QR code on your cell phone, and that'll take you right to that page. So just wanted to remind everybody about the public workshop here on the 8th.
Have we reached out to Price Chopper and seen about having one put there at the entrance? A lot more people go there than the schools.
Well, that's true, and we can definitely reach out to them. One of the things with this sign is that QR code. So trying to hit it or put it in spots where it's pedestrian traffic versus vehicular traffic, because they may not be able to see it from their vehicles, or at least read it, and they wouldn't be able to scan the code. So we're trying to put it next to high foot traffic areas.
Yeah, I was thinking the front door at the store where they walk in.
We might check with them tomorrow, see if we can get one put there as well.
That was it for staff comments.
All right. Next up is board Alderman reports and comments. Alderman Arnold.
I brought it up once before, and I'd like to see if any action has been taken or if we've given any more consideration when we're doing things like rezoning in areas and so forth. I know neighboring communities, Blue Springs and others, post a sign on the physical site stating that this is coming to be. And that brings more attention from neighbors and stuff when they see something like that, as opposed to the letter maybe that gets mailed out, or definitely more than the post in a newspaper that most people don't take. And I really think that, you know, we've got planned development improvements over by this high-density population housing division that's planning on expansion and so forth, that, you know, the neighbors need to know what they're doing there, because, you know, it may eventually down the road even affect the CID if that development gets approval. So I really think in an effort to be transparent and keep our citizens informed, we need to move forward with getting a sign posting at sites that are changing zoning, changing planning, have a major development coming up that, you know, clarifies what's going on, so people don't have to go searching on the internet and looking everywhere trying to find an answer to what's going on, instead of going to Facebook and say, hey, what are they doing on this particular lot? I mean, if there's a posting there, they can drive by and see it, what it is. So I'd like to see some action on getting that done, so we can keep our public just one step farther to being more informed, if they so take the notion to try and be informed.
Yeah, and I think typically when they have those up, it's for public hearings. It's not necessarily just when something's going in, but it'll have the meeting date and something to do with the request on there. But I can check with Mark and see.
Yeah, 'cause I brought it up once before, and I hadn't heard anything about it, and with seeing some of the other additional planning we've got with going on with property and stuff, I just think it'd be a good policy of us to have that posting at the site, so it cuts down on confusion. People say, where's that at? They go by and they see the sign, and they'll be able to connect the two as well, so.
Yep, no, I'll check with him and see if he's got anything on that.
Okay, that's all I have.
Alderman Bass,
Nothing at this time.
Alderman Skinner.
Just if the city wouldn't mind, if they do hear from the lawyer for the CID, when that meeting's gonna be, we could have that shared with us so we can attend. I don't know if this would really qualify. I mean, I think it would personally, but I don't know if the city would promote that meeting, since it is a possibility of a property tax going in. I mean, I get that it's an HOA thing, but if it becomes a property tax thing, that's more of a city thing. So I don't know if that's something the city would be interested in sharing and advertising, so we can get the biggest turnout possible for that meeting. If it's not a huge deal, but I would definitely like to know when that is, so I can share that.
We will do that.
Thanks.
Alderman Knox.
How about those Chiefs? That's all I've got.
Alderman Cleaver.
Nothing tonight.
Mayor's report. I have nothing additional to report this evening. I don't believe we have need for an executive session, right? No one has anything else? We'll adjourn.